Hey guys, welcome to my channel, the one-stop shop for millennials, moms, and you to learn how to be more self-sustainable. Today we're going to be going over questions like what foods are safe to be canned in a water bath canner, how am I supposed to know my elevation, what kind of pressure I need, what kind of foods are safe to be put in jars, all of it. I'm going to be answering 10 frequently asked questions from my viewers over on TikTok, and I've compiled them all into a nice, neat, concise video for you to watch anytime you want and share with others. For example, here is a really good question from Lavender Koala on TikTok, and she asked if pears need to be completely ripe or mature in order to can them. And the answer is you want your pears to actually be a little underripe or just ripe in order to can them. You don't want your fruit to be overripe because it might be too much of a mushy texture and the taste might not be the same in the jar when you open it. So you want to have your fruit be as underripe a little bit or just ripe in order to keep that fresh texture and flavor. And if you would like to be featured in the next video, please leave a comment below. It really means a lot to me. And if you find this video helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit all on the notification bell. That way you'll be notified every Monday and Thursday when my videos come out. So let's dive right into the questions. I've compiled a list of about 10 frequently asked questions from my viewers on TikTok, and so you can share this video and save it for whenever you need to reference it again. And wait till the end because the last 3 questions are the best ones. So the first question is, how long are home canned foods good for? The answer is actually really simple. If you do it properly and if the seal is on there properly, it will last indefinitely. You will have food in the jar that is safe to eat for years, even decades at a time. The thing that people get confused with, I think, are with it being good, meaning nutritionally beneficial for you. Food in the jar is only going to be nutritionally beneficial for you for about 2 to 3 years. After that time, the nutrition in the food goes down in the jar, so it might even be safe to eat, but it's not going to be beneficial for you if you ate it within the first couple years of canning it. That's why I tell people they are good for 2 to 3 years, because you want to have that nutritional benefit from your food. If you're canning it and storing it for 5 years, yes, it is feeding your body, but it's not giving you the nutrition that you want from your body. So I'd say rotate through your food every couple years. Make sure that you're doing the first in, first out method, so that way you're getting the nutritional benefits from your food as well as the taste and texture. The second question I get all the time is, what foods can be home canned? I really appreciate this question because it tells me that you're interested in learning about food safety and which foods are actually appropriate and safe to home can and which are probably not. Some people still do preserve different foods in cans and jars that probably have not been approved for food safety, but I would say these are my top foods that I personally will never can at home. You will never see me canning dairy or bread or any kind of byproduct. Not only are they a big no-no in the canning community, but they haven't really come with a safe measure of home canning these products that will be safe for your family. And there are people all over the world that say they're canning rebels and they will do it anyway. They have canned these foods for years and years and never had a problem with it. I know people who canned bread, who canned pickled eggs, all of it. And you know what? It comes down to your own personal decision for your family. It comes down to your discretion and what you are comfortable doing for your own family. So my suggestion is, even though most fruits and vegetables and meat are safe to can, make sure that you are referencing good safety measures. You are referencing online and in-person book references, so that way you are fully prepared in your research and know what's safe for your family. And I have referenced some good spots to look at in the description of this video for food safety, measurements, elevation, all of that. Go to my description, you will find them there. Okay, question 3. What equipment do I need to get started home food canning? And it's very simple. If you are on a budget and you only can afford the bare necessities, all you need are a big enough stock pot to fit your jars to completely submerge them, something to put on the bottom like a tea towel or a rack so that way they don't touch the bottom of the stock pot and they won't break, and you will need your jars, flats, and rings. I have this stock pot right here, and it fits pint jars and quart jars, and it comes with a rack inside. But if you don't have this kind of stock pot, you can use another stock pot that you have for cooking that will completely submerge your jars. If you want to spend a little bit more money and have the equipment that's actually really helpful and useful, get yourself a funnel. This will be so good for you when you don't want to make messes. For jams, jellies, soups, tomatoes, anything that you're going to be putting in the jar, it will make your life so much easier. And to have these jar grabbers. They're just tongs that you grab the jars out of the stock pot, and it will be a lot easier and safer for your jars than using tongs that you would use on a barbecue. And if you're feeling really ambitious, you can get a pressure canner, and I don't have mine here, my mom is using it, but we use a Presto from Amazon, and I will link all of my equipment down below so you can go grab it for yourself. All right, question number 4, can I reuse my lids? And the answer, again, is pretty simple. Yes, but at your own discretion. A lot of this is going to be at your own discretion. I have reused lids before and it's worked just fine, but only when I absolutely need to. The past couple of years have been really hard to find lids, especially. So what I recommend is if you are finding yourself in the position where you have to reuse your lids, you can't find reliable lids anywhere else, make sure, for one, it is completely dent-free. The edges are dent-free, the top is not dented, plus having your wax ring around here completely unadulterated, no spots in the wax that have been damaged. You want that wax ring especially to be almost like new. So these lids need to be almost perfect for them to use. Again, I don't like reusing lids, but in a pinch, I will if I have to. Okay, question number 5. What is the difference between water bath canning and pressure canning? And I love this question because, again, it tells me that you guys are really interested in food safety. You don't want to just water bath can everything because that is not safe. So here's what it is. Water bath canning is for high acid foods. That means tomatoes, jams and jellies, pickling anything. You want your acid and your sugar levels to be high for these recipes because those are what's going to preserve the food, and you will not need to have extra heat or pressure to kill off harmful bacteria. I know botulism is a very scary thing for people, but there are great resources out there, and the equipment nowadays is so good. It's very rare to get sick from botulism these days. So I will say, don't be scared of that. Practice, do your research, and you won't have to worry about that if you do it right. And it's hard to mess up if you follow the directions. And so pressure canning is for low acid foods. So meat, vegetables, squash, green beans, pumpkins, pretty much anything like potatoes. All fruits and vegetables are kind of different that way because fruit has the natural pectin and sugar in it to help preserve it. Vegetables don't have that. They barely have acid. So meat and vegetables especially, and stocks and soups should be pressure canned. It is very important that your pressure and your heat are high enough, that way they kill off any harmful bacteria, mold spores, anything in the jar or your food that could potentially spoil. That is what will cause the vacuum seal and kill off any bacteria so your food will be safe to eat for years. Question number 6. Can sugar be swapped out of a recipe or taken out of a recipe completely and jarred that way? When I was doing my jams and jellies and butters on TikTok, I had this question over and over and over again, and I really, really appreciate it because I know that a lot of people deal with high blood sugar, diabetes. This is a very big issue for people, and I completely sympathize with that. So here's my answer. Honestly, you cannot take out sugar from a recipe that has been approved for food safety because they have gone into all the science and measuring out the ingredients and the components of that recipe so that way it will preserve the food safely. So simply put, don't alter an approved recipe unless they give you an alternative, and which I will show you where to find that in a second. And likewise, I would not swap out sugar for any recipe with, say, agave syrup or stevia or anything like that unless they give you an alternative. Again, there are people out there who alter recipes all the time and they say they haven't had any issues with it. That's fine for them. That's fine for their family. But I urge you to do your own research and use your own discretion for your family, because you don't want to take someone's word for it all the time when it comes to food safety. It is a science, and you do want to make sure that you're doing it correctly, because it could potentially be very harmful if you don't do it correctly. Now, this is my canning Bible. It has over 400 recipes in it. It gives you sugar measurements. It has sugar-free recipes in here. It has low sugar recipes in here. So I would urge you to buy this book from Amazon. I will link it below, and it has so many good resources for you if you are dealing with low, or if you need low sugar options or no sugar options. There are approved recipes in here, and you can go to the national site for home food preservation. I will also link that below, and they will have a lot of recipes and tips on there too. Question number 7, can I use jars from the store? Yes, you can. So basically, it is the same concept. You have your glass jar, you have the lid on here. It does have a wax ring in here, and it has the little popper just like home canned foods do. So what I will say about jars from the store is that they are not going to be as structurally sound as Ball or Care jars. The difference between a salsa jar from the store and a Ball jar from the company is that Ball and Care, which same company now, they manufacture these jars to withstand high pressure. So that way they are more structurally sound than a Tostitos jar. So my opinion and my recommendation, I would not pressure can with jars from the store. I would definitely probably only water bath can with these. And what you can tell when it is sealed, it won't have that pop at the top. It will be completely down, just like your home canned foods are. And just like you would do with your cans when you're about to can food, you're going to take the labels off, you're going to wash them very thoroughly with hot soapy water, and then I would boil these in the stock pot for at least 10 minutes. That way you kill off any yucky bacteria or any gunk that is still on the jar. We're getting into the good questions now. So question number 8, can I can food from the store? Yes, you absolutely can. I have jarred food at home with groceries from the store many, many times. I've lived this lifestyle, living in an apartment, living in the city, living on my own, living with people. We have had to adapt in many different scenarios. So yes, you can absolutely can food from the store if you don't have the space to garden your own food. We stockpile our meat sometimes when it's on sale, so you can can chicken or ground beef from the store or any other meat that you'd like. You can even can frozen vegetables like this and just make sure they are thawed before you put them in the jar, because you don't want to add extra liquid to the jar. So thaw them all out before you can them in the jar. And no matter where you're getting your produce from, always, always, always wash your produce with either vinegar or a fruit and veggie wash. Never soap. Don't wash your produce with soap, but rinse it off with either vinegar or a safe natural fruit and veggie wash. That way you know that there are no chemicals on it. You don't know who's been touching your food if you haven't grown it yourself. Even if it's from a farmer, sometimes they do use chemicals on their food. So safe precautions, always wash your produce. Okay, so question 9 is kind of like a two-parter, but they go together. So the first part is, how do I know what pressure I need for pressure canning? And 2, what does my elevation have to do with canning anyway? And this is such a good question that I get frequently, and I didn't know for the longest time. I just knew what pressure I needed to be because it's just what I learned, but I didn't learn why we needed that pressure where we live. So you can actually find your pressure and your elevation on the extension website. I'm going to link it down below for your area. And so you basically have to know if you live in a certain altitude above sea level, you need to know what that is. And then on the extension website, it will tell you if you're within this many thousand feet above sea level, you need this pressure and this amount of time for processing. If you live on a higher altitude, you are actually going to need more pressure and more processing time to kill off any harmful bacteria. So every few thousand feet above sea level, you're going to have to add another 5 minutes to the recommended processing time. And if you are referencing safe and approved recipes, it will tell you the processing time and the pressure you're going to need based upon your elevation. And in this book, it will tell you what pressure you will need and an elevation reference guide as well. So that way, once you know your elevation, you can reference this or online, and you'll be able to adjust your pressure and your processing time from there. So for me personally, for example, I live in Michigan and we are 800 feet above sea level. So I don't need to go past 10 pounds of pressure, and I don't need to add any more processing time to the recommended processing time. If I were 3,000 feet above sea level, I would need to add about a pound of pressure, so about 11 pounds of pressure, and I would need to add 5 minutes of processing time to what's already recommended for the recipe. And the last question, number 10, what is the cost-saving benefit from canning food at home? I am very glad you asked. So our family saved a little over $1,800 last year by canning our own food, as well as other methods of preservation, but for this video, canning our own food saved us a very large amount of money. And if you are growing your own food, you are obviously saving much more money that way because you're not spending it at the grocery store. But let's say you are shopping at the grocery store. So first tip I have for you is find the deals. Find every clearance deal you can find. Shop the sales, shop the last sale racks at your market, shop farmers markets, anywhere that you can really extend your dollar. And if you are gardening at home, say you are growing tomatoes this year and your tomatoes exploded. And if you were shopping at the store, you'd normally buy like 5 tomatoes for the week. But from your garden, you are getting 15 tomatoes for the week. So still use those 5 tomatoes that you would use for your recipes for the week, but then preserve the extra 10 tomatoes for when you're going to use them in the winter time. That way you are still using what you need, but you are saving the difference for when you can't grow tomatoes anymore in the winter. And it has just been proven, if you are spending your dollars on produce and whole foods versus packaged foods, you are already saving almost half of your budget. So I encourage you, don't shop the aisles at the store, shop the outside of the store where the produce and the meat and all the whole foods are at. Now I know that was a lot of information in one video, so if you are still here, thank you for watching to the end of the video. If there was a question that I did not answer, please put it in the comments below. And if you find this video helpful, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I'm curious, are you going to start your food preservation journey now that you've had some of these answers given to you? Let me know. And last but not least, let's be friends all over the internet. I have my links to my Instagram, my website, my blog, my TikTok, all of it in my description below. And we will see you in the next video. Bye guys.